Hello and welcome. I'm Bob Lichter, and I will be interviewing individuals for Kenosha Voices, an oral history project for the Kenosha County Historical Society in conjunction with Kenosha Community Media. I am a member of the Kenosha History Center and have volunteered there since 2015. We hope that you will enjoy these programs. I'm with Ernie Virgili, former coach and teacher at Tremper High School. Hello, Ernie, and welcome.
Hello.
Are you originally from Kenosha?
Originally from Kenosha, North Sider.
Okay.
Grant School, Washington Junior High.
Wow. So as a kid in that neighborhood, what were your activities?
Well, baseball. Baseball was the big one. And then when you get into junior high, you get into the football and basketball. So those were the activities.
Okay, then high school at Bradford?
High school at Bradford, double shifts, a lot of kids, a lot of people, good sports, great role models. Three of them really stick out, and that's Jim Giordano from Washington Junior High, and Glenn McCullough, my wrestling coach, and after that, Andy Smith, my baseball coach. Just dedicated people that dedicate their lives to coaching and teaching.
And that inspired you to
That was my
do
inspiration. I wanted to be a coach and a teacher because of those three people.
Well, what was the path that you took to get to that goal?
Well, the path was baseball allowed me to have a tryout with the Minnesota Twins, and that eventually got me to a scholarship at Northern Illinois, and I went into the education department and played baseball there for 3 years.
Okay. Then you graduated from college, came to Kenosha, and
Came back to Kenosha and picked up a sport in college that was handball. It was an activity that we baseball players did on the off season, and started to teach at Tremper High School and also play handball over at the KYF with guys like Gino Gallo, my barber, John Bunick, who was a music teacher, and Mario Bonifiglo, who was a well-known athlete in our area. And that's how I got started in handball at the KYF.
okay. And that took you a lot of different places.
Well,
Your
there's
handball.
two types, and those that stay in the facility and just play the same people all the time. I kind of felt the need to branch out and play other people, so I started going to tournaments, state tournaments or tournaments around the state, and it gave me a different insight on a lot of different strategies used in handball. So that got me really involved and infused them on being better at handball.
And you had much success.
Yeah, I won a state tournament. That started it, and then I entered when I was 35 years old. I entered a national tournament in Palatine, Illinois, at the Charlie Club, and ended up getting to the semis. And the semis, I beat the reigning champ, who was a doctor from Boulder, Colorado. And then in the finals, I met a guy from Chicago, and with my family there, I won a first game. Second game I lost, and then we play a tiebreaker to 11 points, and I won 11-10 after going in and trying to get the third point 3 times. So it was a very exciting match, and one of the most exciting that was written up in the handball magazine, and kind of put me on a national course, and I wasn't going to fool anybody after that. They pretty much knew who I was, and it also opened up some doors for me. I got a lifetime membership at the #1 club in Milwaukee, which was the WAC, Wisconsin Athletic Club, and that's where I played for the next 35 years. So.
Wow. And you got some, didn't you do some international travel
Okay,
too?
so then, yeah, I won 10 more national titles, and then I was inducted into as a Grand Master in the Hall of Fame. But during that time, every 4 years, there's a world tournament. And the first one was in Winnipeg, and I won that one. The second one was in Edmonton, Canada, and the third one was in Ireland, which was a unique thing. And by that time, my wife and I were making it. We were sightseeing as well as playing handball, which I have to mention at this time that I couldn't do any of this without my wife's approval and the fact that she was 100% behind me. So, but we had a good time in Ireland because it was unusual in that the facility was only 4 courts, so they can't run a world tournament with 4 courts. So every day you had to go to a different small town, look up where the court was, and the real unusual thing was I was driving, and you drive on the right side, the steering wheel's on the right side, and you're on the left side of the street. So it was quite an experience for us. We had a good time though.
Great. Okay, so what led you to Tremper then?
Tremper,
for your career?
the 3 people that I mentioned, those were my role models, and Glenn McCullough was just really my mentor. And I ended up working with him. He was head of the department. Eventually, I started working there. I started out in driver ed, and then when Andy Smith retired out of baseball, I took over the baseball program.
So you were the head baseball coach?
Head baseball coach for about 8 years. Then I went over the football. Originally, I started in wrestling with assistant coach with Jerry Barr. So I was pretty active all those years with coaching, at least one sport a year, and at the same time playing handball, which was
And then,
busy.
so you started out in driver's ed. That was your
Driver's ed. That was my minor, and there was a guy that left Kenosha and went to Milwaukee, and then they needed somebody, and I filled a position, and after about 2 or 3 years, I ended up going over to Phi Ed.
so Phi Ed teacher?
Which was my first love, yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned too that you really got involved with your students.
Yeah, you know, I was never the instructor that wanted to roll out the ball and just tell them what to do. I got involved with them. I did exercises with every one of my classes, and they really appreciated that because we used to have evaluations, and a lot of the evaluations were recognized me as being part of and exercising with them. I also started a handball class. We had 8 courts, 1 wall, and then I started also a paddleball class when racquetball started getting popular. It became a very popular activity, and I still run across some people who will stop me on the street and say, "Hey, I remember playing handball with you." So that was something to remember.
Good. And so you were a Phi Ed teacher. And what were the dates of your career then?
I started in '69, and I ended up in 2001.
Okay. And was there a teachers' union very active?
There was a
back in those
teachers'
days?
union, and we went through some rough times, but we it allowed us to have benefits, you know, rather than salary. I mean, you could go across the state line in Illinois and you could get $10,000 more or whatever, but our union fought for benefits, and which was important to us.
Once you got involved with the Phi Ed classes, what was a typical day like for you?
Well, when it first started out, it was 7 classes, and they were 50-minute classes, and then later on it went to 90-minute classes. But a typical day was start in the morning at 6:30 setting up equipment, and then coaching or teaching for 7 hours, starting at 7:30, and then coaching. And 12-hour days was not unusual. That was the usual. So I'd get home 6:30, 6:15, and so that's pretty much what it was for quite a few years.
Did you make friends with your fellow teachers? And
Oh,
have
absolutely, yeah.
Social activities?
Yeah, absolutely. That's how I met my wife. She was a teacher. And at that time, teachers used to get together at the Holiday Inn, at the Viking Room, and that's where I met her.
Wow. So a lot of social activities, maybe after
Yeah.
hours. Okay, in that span, 1969 to 2001, what were there any changes, like say technology or world events,
Oh yeah,
that really affected the way you did your job?
we really didn't know what cell phones were. You didn't have cell phones or anything like that until late. And late, I remember going to a state tournament with our football team, and Dino Lorenzi was the only guy that had a cell phone. And we were coming home, and there were accidents, and he was calling in these accidents. Other than that, nobody had cell phones. Computers were just starting, and I didn't know how to check my email, and I finally told my administrator, I'm in the gym. I have a rough time getting to check my email. So that was just the beginning of it when I was getting out.
Did you live near work? Did you drive to work? Did you?
I drove from the north side Kenosha to Tremper each day on 22nd Avenue until we ended up then relocating in Pleasant Prairie, and then it was a much shorter drive, and my sons were able to go to Tremper High School as well.
Okay. What was the best part of your job? What was the best part of being a FIAD teacher?
Best part of it was teaching skills to a level where you could see they really started to enjoy the sport. And to me, that's what it was all about, letting them enjoy it. And I saw that same thing at Carthage College, because I taught at Carthage College for 17 years after that. And a lot of them took handball, the class handball, not knowing what it was. And at first they were a little skeptical, but once we got the skill level up, they saw that they started to enjoy the workout. And that's what it was to me, is get that skill level up where they enjoy it.
Okay. What about maybe tough parts or challenging parts about doing what you did?
Yeah, you always have some individuals that don't want to go along with the program or something, you know. But all in all, I gotta admit that I had great kids throughout the years. And I remember those kids more than anybody else. I mean, you know.
Back in those days too, in Kenosha, 1960s, 70s, 80s, our industrial base had a big effect on the city. Yeah. Whether it's American Motors, McWhite Roll, American Brass Company, Snap-on Tools. How did that affect your?
Well, I had two parents that put in 50 years at American Motors. My mother did jobs that guys signed off of. So I mean, I saw what the Industrial Revolution was firsthand. And 3:45, I'd have to be home every day, because that's when my parents came home from American Motors. And there were times when my mother would be bumped to a second shift. My dad would have the first shift, and that was a little rough. But those people worked. That generation knew how to work.
And so, how many years did they work?
They worked 50 years. Both of them put in 50 years. Both of them lived to their 90s. I'm sorry, 30 years. Okay. 30 years, not 50.
Okay. Were there any organizations other than your handball group outside of work that you were involved in?
Not really. Handball took a lot of time. And I played in Milwaukee for 35 years, and I also played during the week in Chicago. And sometimes that was downtown Chicago. So handball took a lot of my time. And also, I had two boys to raise, and my wife was instrumental on a lot of that, because I was away a number of times.
What do you miss about your career there?
I miss the kids, but that's why I went to Carthage for 17 years. I miss competition. That was a tough time when I was 73 years old and I had to give it up. but the negatives started to outweigh the positives as far as handball was concerned. So, you know, the game plan has changed. Now we watch our grandkids. They're all three of them are involved. My granddaughter's in cheer; she's coaching. My oldest grandson Ernie is a senior and a soccer player, made all conference. And then my youngest one, Enzo, is a baseball player and done very well through Little League, and he's in a traveling team now. So that's pretty much it. And then traveling. So we travel as much as we can, and we're fortunate that we have the health, and we work at it. I work out every morning, and my wife also does jazzercise and walks. So we're pretty fortunate that our health is still good.
Do you still occasionally see your coworkers at all?
Well, I'm the only one left out of the fire department. So 4 of them have passed. So.
Okay, is there anything else you'd like to share with?
Oh, that's about it. I've often thought, would I have changed anything? I wouldn't change a thing.
Okay.
I've just been very, very fortunate. Mm-hmm. That's the way I consider it.
And get through all the changes in our city over those years too.
Yeah, a lot of changes. We don't have the KYF anymore. Well, for years I was wondering, I'd play basketball there, and I'm wondering, why are those people walking upstairs? Little did I know that the next 55 years of my life I'd be playing that sport in those 20 by 40 courts.
Is there a handball court in Kenosha now in
Yeah,
2024?
the Rexplex has got a couple.
Okay.
Handball's down considerably, racquetball's down considerably. It's pickleball now, but we used to have a court club on Highway 50, right in front of the Pick and Save, Kenosha Athletic Club.
Okay.
And then that folded, so they saturated the market with the clubs, and then when things got bad, well, then they started going out of business. So.
Okay, well, there, Ernie, I'd like to just say then thank you on behalf of the Kenosha History Center and Kenosha Community Media for participating in the Kenosha Voices Oral History Project.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.